Some business news to bring you now. The inflation rate went up slightly in April for the first time in 11 months, and the basket of goods that make up the Consumer Price Index rose 4.4% from the same time last year. The CBC's senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong, has been going through those numbers.
We had been hoping to see not just a further deceleration, but some of the forecasts were showing, Arthi, that we were expecting that deceleration might have fallen all the way down into the threes, 3.9, 3.8%. And boy, is that not the case. And so, look, this is disappointing, not just for the policymakers that are trying to figure out what to do with inflation and how to get us through this, but of course, for all the families and households out there trying to navigate these ever rising prices. And you look at what's going up, it's not going to come as a surprise to literally anybody who buys just about anything. Rents are way up. Mortgage costs are way up. Why? Because we hiked interest rates to try to get inflation under control, and in doing so, slow down the economy. But we knew that was coming, and it's showing up in the data now, too. We've seen some progress in stuff like food, for example. It was way up at 9.7%. That's decelerated considerably, but it's 9.1%, right? So people are still paying 9% more for food than they were in previous readings. So look, this is a tough time, and there are bound to be, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, that there are bound to be contradictions in the economy. And this is one of those contradictions that we had expected to see it fall. I think everybody still expects it to continue to fall. But look, the Bank of Canada has said getting down to 4% was going to be the easy part. Getting down all the way to the target between 2 and 3%, between 1 and 3%, sorry, that was always going to be the slog in all of this. And we're seeing evidence of that in today's numbers.
So when we look at these disappointing sort of results right now, given the work that's been put in, wonder what this means for the Bank of Canada and interest rates then.
Yeah, I mean, look, your instinct is to think, wow, this goes against what the Bank of Canada wanted. Therefore, they're probably going to have to hike interest rates to try to get this surge in inflation back under control. Most people don't think that's the case. The mathematical chances of a hike at the next meeting have gone up for certain. But I think most people see this as more of a blip, and that the Bank of Canada has to look at the totality of economic data, replete with all of those contradictions I was just talking about, and try to make sense of the economic picture. So it's looking not just at CPI, but it's looking at jobs numbers that are coming in hotter than expected, but slowing, looking at GDP that is slowing all the way to zero, but not quite dipped into a recession yet, right? We're getting, with each piece of information we get, Arthi, we can flesh out that picture that we have, that sort of puzzle of the economy, and we just get a better sense of not only where we are, but kind of where we're headed.
And when you say the likelihood of potentially seeing a rate hike in the future is higher now, wondering what else you're watching for in the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just going to be putting all these data points together. We're going to look, we've got retail sales numbers coming out at the end of this week. That's going to give us information about how consumers are spending, even though their borrowing costs have gone up, even though they're way more pessimistic today about the state of the economy than they were a month, 3 months, 6 months ago. We're going to each piece of data that comes in that can give us a piece of information about what's happening in the economy, and often what was happening several months ago in the economy, right? A lot of these indicators are lagging, and we have an almost intuitive sense of what's happening underfoot. Walk down the main street of your town or neighborhood or city, and you can get a sense of how people are feeling and what they think the economy might be doing. All of these data points just kind of back that up. So at a time of contradiction and at a time of inflection, when things are changing and trying to get back into order, it's making sense of those contradictions, and it's just taking those data points one at a time, trying to figure out how they fit into the bigger picture and what that means for where we're headed. It's boring, but it works.
That is the CBC's senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong.